That was, um, I walked out my front door, and I remember hearing the neighbor, his big booming voice. He said, "Yep, mandatory evacuation happens every year." And I heard him hang up the phone, and I was just thinking, what is going on here? So I went over to a different neighbor's house, and I saw they're all um, they were all like kneeling in the living room and they were praying, and so I decided to join on this prayer and they were praying for the fire that's going on. I said, "There's a fire." So then I come to find out that where we were staying in California in the mountains by Yosemite, there's a fire that's coming up the mountain over where our property is. And my bedroom at the time happened to be like an outbuilding. It was like, here's the property, and then it goes up a hill, and there's a flat land, and then I have like this building. It's a nice. It's like its own contained um, like cabin. Yeah, that's what it is. It's cabin. So I was staying there, and I had a roommate, Michael, who we've done ministry together off and on throughout the years, and while we were there, we had to escape. We had to evacuate. They were requiring that the sheriff was telling everybody they got to go, and the fire's getting closer and closer and closer. And I remember I had a neighbor. His name was Roel. He was an ultra marathon runner, and uh, I went. I think I took my longboard with Michael and I, and we longboarded over to basically the only exit out of this development up there on the mountains. And there we saw there was fires on both sides of the road. And there was my neighbor Roel. He was basically being like held back by the firefighters, and he recognized me. He's like, "Enoch, you have to save my babies. Don't leave him. I left him over there. I didn't know. You go back and please save my babies." And he's like, "Even if you gotta bust a window or break in, it's like, dude, whatever it takes, please go get my babies." And he's talking about his little dogs, and his puppies. They're like children to him, and he just felt like so terrible that somehow he left, and then he wasn't allowed in. Maybe he went on errands, but somehow he found himself on the other side of this blockade, and he wasn't able to go rescue his children. And I was on that side, so he's like, "Please," he gave me permission to break his window. And I just remember, I'm like, that sounds intense. But we were out there evacuating, and we had a bus that we evacuated. There was a car. I remember packing my computer in there because I'm like, I don't want all my videos to be gone, because that was a lot of work to record all those videos. And the sheriff was knocking door to door, making sure that every single neighbor gets evacuated and nobody stays behind, because there's like serious risk. Like, we had neighbor after neighbor whose houses were burning down to crisp, and they were coming to a corner near us. And so we were on our way out, and the sheriff was basically following us behind because we were one of the last people to leave. Because I remember John and Kathy, it was Kathy's late husband. He was like, he was choosing not to be evacuated. He's like, "Yeah, they've evacuated us before, and I didn't go, so I don't plan on going this time." I was like, "Well, then I'm gonna stay behind too." And but for some reason, God changed his heart, and he decided that he's gonna go. So and he's kind of frail. He's older. Him and his wife were gonna evacuate, so I just want to be there to help support them as they go. And we were on our way out, and because we lingered, the three of us, so long, the sheriff was right there on our tail following us. But by the time that we got to Roel's house on the way out, I remember he's like, "Save my babies." So Kathy and we went over there, and we were trying to like basically break into his house. And I told the sheriff, like, "Hold on, we need to go over here. We're not leaving until we at least," I told him I'd do my best to save his babies. And I didn't end up breaking a window. I was able to like take the screen off, and I found a way to break into his house without breaking anything. And I remember climbing through the window, and sure enough, his little dogs were there. And they just like, they must have thought I was like a fire demon because they just bark, 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 bark. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't even have that much experience with dogs, to be honest. So I'm going in there trying to like chase or corral this child. I mean, these little baby, these little puppies, these dogs, and they're little dogs. I don't even think they're puppies. They're just like little dogs. And Kathy's seen me trying to do that, so I go over there and I unlock the front door so Kathy can walk in. So she's thinking maybe we can like come in at different angles and try to like scoop one up. But I mean, what are we gonna do if that dog's freaked out? I'm gonna scoop up this little ankle biter and then it's gonna bite my wrist. So it's like that doesn't very really make sense. I don't know how we were gonna get these dogs to Roel, but we tried. And the sheriff was like, "We gotta go. Why are you still here?" And we're like, "Hold on, we gotta save these babies." So, anyways, we weren't able to save the babies, and Kathy and I, we just were like, we don't know what to do. They refused. Like they treated us both like we were like these terrible intruders, like we caused the fire or something, and they just didn't trust us. So, anyways, we closed the door, and I was just like, "Oh man, I hope that he I don't know. I don't know what goes on." But we said a prayer for Roel and for his house. And so we went out. And I remember driving through, I was driving the bus. They called me the singing bus driver because I'd be driving over there. And one of the only people who knew how to drive one of the big rigs. And I couldn't really hear the conversation that goes on over there. So I just sing. I'm just minding my own business, just kind of singing the way through as we're going down the mountains. And the mountains don't scare me, even though there's like big cliffs and drop off. So they call me the singing bus driver. And sometimes I get the whole bus of all of our missionaries singing into the scripture songs that I was doing. And but this time we were like looking, and I remember driving through. There was like a window of opportunity where the flames weren't like crossing the road, and we drove down the mountain, and there was flames on both sides, and things were scorched. And you see off to the distance some like neighbors' houses just totally the fire just went straight up this mountain and engulfed this house that was on the corner, and it was a sight to behold. I've never seen it so much. It was all smoky in the air and thick, like the morning fog, but it was not fog. It was smoke and destruction and ashes and embers and everything. It just looked different. And so we went down to we went down further down the mountain to another mountain town that was about 30 minutes away. And I remember sleeping in the uh, the the bus had some beds, some futons. We were over there, and we stayed at some house of an elderly couple who they attended our health meetings, and we do health meetings every month for the community. And we had people who were buying from our health store, and it was just like it was one of the connections we had in the community. So we were over there and we held out. I don't remember how long it was, a few days, maybe a week. I don't remember. I just remember it was hard to breathe. I was like, I felt like I woke up with, and I just smoked a pack of cigarettes, and I don't smoke, but my asthma was flaring up. I'm like, this stuff is rough. And I'm glad like we can endure almost anything for a season, right? And we don't have to do that all the time. So I come back, and when the fire subsides and we go back there, and I realize that we were praying for the property, but the flames literally did a horseshoe around the house. It burned everything around it except for the house itself. And my bedroom happened to be in that horseshoe of flames. So it burnt down to ashes. And along, we had a mobile library filled with Bible books and literature. I had a pillowcase that I had since I was probably 10 when my mom went to rehab or addiction recovery center. Then I went into foster care, and it was like 2 weeks until the class was almost finished, and it was like the end of the year. So I was there for the whole year except for the last 2 weeks. They uprooted me and moved me like 3 cities down, where I became a new student of this new school, this new elementary school. I knew nothing about any of the kids, and I remember it was like the year 2006. So my birthday is June 6th. So the kids were like, "Hey, I heard that the world's gonna end on your birthday. How do you feel about that? Because it's gonna be 6606." And they were calling me Devil Child and all sorts of different names. But like I'm like these kids, I don't even know who these people are, and I'm only gonna be around here for like 2 weeks. So that was kind of awkward. But my teacher, I mean, she was just such a blessing. She rallied the kids together for my classmates from the other school, and they bought me a sleeping bag. They bought me a pillowcase that had like Enoch sewed on it, which was really cool. It was green, and a Mario alarm clock, and so I just had the pillowcase, and I really liked that. But that was like burnt down to the ground. And my roommate, he had a bunch of books, and he had his notebooks. He had different Bible. He just had literature, and he had a case. He had a lot of stuff just burnt, gone. And one of the biggest things that I learned from this experience is that what's fascinating is a lot of times when we have the physical books and physical notes, we would either leave them when we need them, or it's like I'm studying a Bible, or I am trying to take notes of sermons or what have you. And while my friend, he had a lot of physical writings and journals and notes and books, and they're all gone. I do a lot of my note taking on digital pages, like at the time it was Google Docs, or now I use Notion and for taking notes. And now it's like I didn't lose any of those pages. So I could pull up Bible study topics that I studied back in like 2012 within seconds. And within a few seconds, I could have it in front of me from my phone anywhere in the world and be able to give a Bible study just from the notes right there. And that's why I'm a strong proponent. What's one of the many reasons why I believe it's so valuable to get in the habit of taking digital notes. Even if it feels better to take notes by hand, those digital notes are so accessible. They're easy to find anywhere that you go. And I actually have a whole Bible study class on it that talks about, it's called Direction from God, and it's how to study the Bible, so that how to take notes in a way you can easily access for years to come. So that's and you could type direction down below if you're interested in learning more about that Direction of God study method that for note taking. But that was quite an interesting experience. And there was a few times that I've gone through fire. I guess our missionary like property was on fire, and we had to fight it, or we had to deal with that. But that was one of them. I know that some of you requested that I tell that story, so here's the video of that story, and that was some of the lessons I learned. But I also realized with loss and grief that it's like God gives us the opportunity to choose the meaning that we attach to these experiences. And I could think about like the stuff that I lost or how scary it is, but I find that God was really working with all of us in our hearts and our minds. He helped us to connect more with some of the people in our meetings, and good came out of it. And through that experience too, it opened Kathy to want to move up to Idaho too, where we're at now. And it's just what I've learned in hindsight is, as Corinthians says, all things are for your sakes. And that means that everything in life is happening for you and not to you. And when we can remember this, it can make a really, really big difference. So this is the story that I want to share today. And if I've got, I know you guys have requested so many of the videos that I mentioned, so they're coming. I put them on the list so I don't forget them. But thank you so much for watching, friends. And I hope this was a blessing or is encouraging. I do want to use this channel as an opportunity to kind of share my heart, my stories, maybe share different experiences that I've never really said before. And I mean, whether no one watches or they do watch, I just want to share because I think it's helpful to be able to express some of these ideas and kind of process through some thoughts. And there's some memories that I forgot about that story. So I was talking to Kathy, I'm like, what happened? And she was reminding me of parts. And I want to document these so I don't forget the memories. And I think this is a really powerful way to capture that and keep it. But this is today's story. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Several people have been requesting the song, so I think the song is coming very soon, just like one of the songs that I wrote. But until next time, remember, friends, God doesn't call it qualified, He qualifies it called. Have a great day, and God bless.